Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization. We're in the Manti-La Sal forest. We're investigating Bigfoot sightings. It's been 26 years since I have been here, and I've been intrigued by many of the Bigfoot sightings. There have been many Bigfoot sightings in the 26 years since I've been here last, and I've been keeping an eye on those, so I'm excited to be out here. We're closest to an area called Deer Creek Mine. We're checking out that area because of a Bigfoot sighting report that we received, and that's the report that I'm going to talk about in this video. However, there's awesome footprints that were filmed a couple of different times over the last 5 years up near the Spanish Fort Canyon to the north of here. Then there's Bigfoot sightings all the way down to the south of Panguitch, including the Bigfoot that threw the family dog into a tent twice that night. Okay, I'm going to show you the area and we're going to get into the sighting report. Take a look around the Deer Creek Mine area. Mark Burchet writes RMSO. Dear RMSO, Kelly, I once mentioned a few years ago about my encounter. You asked where. I briefly told you up Fairview Canyon around a small lake. It's at the top before you drive across to go down to Castledale. You drive by what used to be Deer Creek Mine, owned then by Utah Power and Light, then Rocky Mountain Power, and Scottish Company bought it. It's several coal mines, so to elaborate on my encounter, when I was 11 years old, I went deer hunting with my stepdad, uncle, and a friend. We arrived just before daybreak. The plan was for my friend and I to wait a couple of hours before we were to head up the right side of the fair-sized draw. My dad and uncle went up 2 hours earlier while it was still dark. And as we did, we were to make as much noise as possible and to throw rocks, sticks ahead of us into the draw. This would drive the deer towards them. Simple, right? And for two young men being given carte blanche to make all the noise we want? Oh hell yeah, as we headed up the right side just as the sun was coming over the peaks, I stopped and asked my friend if he heard anything. Like what? He asked. Anything, I said. No, was his reply. I shrugged, thinking I may have heard a deer moving because that's what we were here for. As we kept walking, this was on my mind, and my mind was scanning the Quakies and pines for movement. I wanted to be the first to spot it. Again, I was sure I heard something moving and what sounded like a buck snort. This time, my friend heard it as well. We tried to discuss this very quietly as we huddled, so as not to spook it in the wrong direction. No more sound, and as hard as I looked for movement, I saw none. So again, we kept doing our job, albeit much less noise. Then some pine cones started to land in front, back, the right side of us, but never hitting us. Sticks as well. Now I knew what was going on, or so I thought. My stepdad and uncle were messing with us. This made me mad, so I yelled up towards the top of the draw, "Knock it off! It's not funny and we're not scared." The later was a lie, no response, so I yelled again. This time we heard a deep, angry growl, as a pretty good-sized log was thrown end over end, so fast that it sounded like the whomp, whomp, whomp of a helicopter blade, as it made an arc in front of us and above us. We looked at each other, dumbfounded. My friend said, "What was that?" I still thought it was Dad and Uncle, but I was still scared, almost to a Charmin moment. For the last time I yelled at them and said, "Knock it off! I thought we were here to hunt." Silence was the only reply that I got. It was then my friend says, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Let's get the hell out of here." So we ran straight to the bottom of the draw, zigzagging in between, around, and over all the trees mentioned above. As we were doing this, I could feel it chasing, pacing us out. I literally felt its feet hitting the forest floor. Glancing occasionally behind us as we ran to the bottom of the draw, I saw a man's shape. But because the sun was high enough Now I could only see the silhouette. That said, on the edges of the shape, I noticed hair. As we got to the bottom of the draw, we turned left, west towards the jeep. Running along the bottom was a very small stream. As we continued to go between the trees, I saw footprints in the softer areas. It's always October for the rifle hunt, and the ground can be frozen or pretty soft, depending on the temperature. It was kinda semi-soft. I briefly wondered why my dad, uncle, would take off their boots in the cold just to scare us. All this happened in what seemed hours, but was more likely half hour to 45 minutes. As we got to the jeep, we jumped in, breathing really hard and panicked. Didn't know what happened. The jeep had a soft top, so no typical locking doors. We were yelling back and forth about what happened. We were trying to see what chased us. Nothing came out of the trees. This puzzled me. This puzzled us. I started to honk the horn to get my dad and uncle to come out. No one did. Eventually they showed up, and they were really mad that we never arrived up at the top of the draw. Again, I was very confused. We told them what happened, and they denied it was them, and said they never saw or heard anything, and we probably just saw a bear. Even at 11, I knew bears would be in hibernation, and only a man could throw something, but there was no arguing with them. I've spoke to Mark Brachet a couple of times about his Bigfoot sighting, and I really appreciate you writing this up and sending it in to us, Mark. He gave us great directions to exactly where it happened. I was thrilled to see the report because I know this area pretty well. I used to bow hunt here 5 seasons in a row. I come up into this area, and then I haven't been back there for 26 years, so I knew the area really well at one point in time. And so when Bigfoot sighting reports come out of the area, I have a pretty good idea of where they're at and what's going on there. And like I said, there's been some of the best footprints in the snow to come out of Utah. I've saw them on video. Like close to 100 footprints in one, 30 in another one, near the same area. The people that filmed it did a great job documenting it, and then Bigfoot sightings all up and down these mountains. They're Wasatch Front, Rocky Mountains, and this section is Manti-La Sal Forest. I hope I didn't butcher the name. But we really appreciate these Bigfoot sightings. If you've had a Bigfoot sighting report, make sure you send it to us. These are the places that we like to go, especially if there's a history of Bigfoot sightings to take a look around. It all starts with the sighting, and sometimes when we visit these areas, we get vocalizations, we find footprints ourselves. So several places that we have gone to over the last 10 years have turned into hot spots for us where we frequent them because of what's happened along with the Bigfoot sighting reports that have come out of the area. I hope you enjoyed this Bigfoot sighting report on location. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.